Hi everybody, Chris Stokes from Custom Fitness Personal Training Studio. Today we're talking about getting out of your joints and starting to use your muscles. What does that mean? Well, did you know that over 65% of females are born with hypermobile joints? And what that means is that in layman's terms, they're double jointed. They can bend joints further in the wrong direction than what they should be able to. So that could be anything from elbows to wrists to fingers to their spine, into their knees, those kinds of things. The most common thing that you probably see as you're walking around is people who lock their knees out. So somebody who's standing and their knees go back behind them rather than stopping at the center point. Obviously some men are too, but it really does affect a lot of women. So I wanted to kind of make a point to talk to you guys about that tonight, because a lot of times the workouts that you're doing can become a frustration to you if they don't provide the right results. So you work and work and work, and oftentimes you either end up getting hurt or you just don't see the muscle definition that you were hoping to. And a lot of times the problem is that you're locking out joints, or you're kind of giving into that hypermobility and not allowing the muscles to do their work. So let's take an example. That knee lock that I just showed you. So if we push the knees back and we're going into, say, a squat, and then we lock the knees back every time, we lose the ability to balance the body and hold tension within the muscles. So we disengage the muscles and we engage the joints. Well, it doesn't sound too bad until you realize that every time that you start to lock those joints out, you actually do some damage to that joint on a cellular level. So you begin to destroy the connective tissue within that joint. You begin to destroy the cushioning within that joint, and eventually it doesn't turn out well for you. So we want to work on not doing that. So if you were doing a full range squat, you would take it down into your squat, but then as you stood up, you would tighten the quads, tighten in the glutes, and that would maintain that position. So hamstrings, quads, and glutes are all tight to hold that position so that you don't end up going too far in the opposite direction. Okay, so a squat's easy, right? So then a lot of people tend to lock out their elbows. So a lot of times another exercise that tends to be push too far, if you will, is a shoulder press, where you have weights here and you press it up and you lock those elbows out, almost, kind of throwing it and then bringing it back down. So as you do that, once again, you disengage the muscles, so the arm actually doesn't support itself through the muscular structure, which is what it's meant to do, and instead the bones now have to hold you up there. Remembering that anytime that you pop a joint out of place, you then have to pop it back into place, which is where that destruction comes in and the joint starts to break down little by little. Okay, so those are two pretty easy to see ones. There are a couple that I really want to talk to you about tonight that really majority of people are doing wrong. And the reason that they're doing it wrong, number one, could be the hypermobility issue, but it could also just be that they're exhausted. By the time that they get into these exercises, they're tired, they don't really understand how to use their body the right way to hold their body in the right position, so they allow the joints to take over to provide that support and stability. And when you do that, again, you break down the joints and you don't get that muscle tone that you're looking for. So if you're going to do an exercise as beneficial as, say, your plank, then we want to make sure that we're getting everything we can out of that. So when you do a plank, you hear plank and the word brings to mind abs, right? That's what it's for, is your core. Well, what else does a plank work? A plank also works stability. A plank also works your pelvic floor. A plank also works your chest and your shoulders and your triceps and your forearms. So it has a lot of different uses. And as we get into that plank position, I'm not sure if I have enough room here to show you or not, but if we get into this plank position here and we start to lock through on our elbows, what you'll see happen is as I lock my elbows, the inside portion of my elbow now faces forward, and that's what we don't want to get into. But watch what else happens to my body. As I lock those elbows, the core sags down, the shoulders sag down, and we start to sink down into those shoulders as well. Whereas if we push up out of the floor, we resist against the floor, and we lift up, keeping the elbows, the inside of the elbow facing each other, then we can maintain that core stability, we can maintain the shoulder position, and we don't increase our risk of injury. So the next time that you're in a plank position, really think about keeping the inside of your elbow facing inward rather than letting it rotate out. And if it is facing inward, not letting it go too far. So that might happen if your hands were out too wide and you had to lock in. But again, as I do that, can you see the difference in the shoulder in order to do that? So we want to make sure and maintain stability throughout the entire body. So yes, the plank is a core exercise, but if you're not utilizing your upper body correctly, you're not going to get everything that you want to out of that. All right, so the last exercise today, same idea, similar idea. It's a plank, but it's a different kind of plank. Now this one, people tend to get into the shoulder. The shoulder joint is such a complex joint. You've got the ball, you've got the socket, and then you've got a whole bunch of tendons and ligaments and muscles and things that surround it, and most of those are very tiny, and they support you through movements. But if you allow too much pressure to be placed on that in the wrong angle, under the wrong tension, then the shoulder can actually collapse and end up tearing. So we want to keep that from happening at all costs. So this plank that I'm going to show you is a side plank. So when we go down into it, whether we're on the forearm or we're up on the hand, doesn't matter. I want you to watch the shoulder position here. So as we take it up into our side plank here, we want to be strong and lifted out of the shoulder. So our ear and shoulder as far away as they can be from each other. If we were to drop down in the shoulder, it would look like this, and you'll see that shoulder kind of collapse in. You'll also notice that the hips kind of collapse down as you do that. Now, same thing on the hand. If we take it up on the hand and we drop down on that shoulder, watch those hips, and they drop down with you. So now you've got to lock out that elbow almost. You've dropped into the shoulder and made that unsecure. So now the body is in a much more dangerous place where you could possibly risk some injury. Trust me, you don't want a shoulder surgery. If you've never had to have one or you're not looking at one, you don't want one, okay? So try to keep yourself safe as often as possible, and know that if you are more prone to lean towards being hypermobile, you've got joints that are extending the wrong directions, that's where you really need to be building strength in those muscles around the joints to be able to support those joints. So we do a lot of work with people in that situation at varying degrees of hypermobility to help them to strengthen their joints, to learn how to feel the muscles the right way, whether it's in a stretch or in a working phase, but we want to be able to use the muscles the right way, feel the muscles the right way, and make sure ultimately to keep the body safe. So if that's something that you would like some more information on or feel like we might can help you with, I'd be happy to schedule you a consultation where you can come in, talk with me, and see if it's the right fit for you. Feel free to give us a call, 806-322-3188, as we would love to help you through that issue. It's something that not a lot of trainers really address very well, and it's also something that a lot of people tend to walk around without much help for. So, something that we work on. All right, downsize coming up on October 30th. It's our last downsize of 2017. I know you're sick of me talking about it, but I'm going to keep talking about it until the 30th because it's really important, or at least till we fill it up, and then I'll just brag on the people who get to do it. So we're only taking 20 people for it. You lose 15 inches during the program, 6 weeks long, then you get your money back. So you could lose 15 inches for free. Our average client who comes to downsize and follows the plan, nutritionally and exercise-wise, ends up losing between 1 and 2 pant sizes. So how awesome would it be to lose 1 to 2 pant sizes between now and Thanksgiving? Most people think that'd be pretty great. So if that's you, we'd love to have you as a part of that. Just comment below I'm in, and I'll get you that registration form and some details on it. Or you can give us a call, again, 806-322-3188, and we'd be happy to talk with you and see if it's a good fit for you. Hope you got something good out of today. Make sure to use those muscles and not your joints, and we'll talk to you soon.